Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another Postgame Live with me and Jordan right here on Clemson at the Voice of College Football. Thank you so much for joining us. Jordan, it's been over a full calendar year since the Clemson Tigers have beat a Power 4 team at home. But we just saw it happen tonight. Not the prettiest game, not the best game out there. But at this point, when you've had the season that Clemson has had, we'll take it. We will take it.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about it. Yeah, first Power 4 win at home. I mean, you break a 3-game losing streak at home.
3-game losing streak.
It's was not the prettiest of football games. That was one of the football games of all time. But hey, these are a lot more fun after a win. So I'm gonna enjoy this one. And of course, it's a win over Florida State, which always means a little bit more, even when both teams suck ass. So
absolutely,
I'm gonna enjoy this one. It's been a trying year. Glad that the seniors get to go off with a win at home. And yeah, man, I mean, it was you did just enough to win this football game. And, offensively, you generated enough offense to keep the ball. You won time of possession. You lost the yardage battle, but it's kind of a little misleading because a lot of FSU's yardage kind of came towards the back end of that game in Florida in the fourth quarter. But, I thought Cade managed the game well. No turnovers. He didn't make any crazy decisions, terrible decisions. Wasn't a banner day running the football by any means, but, your receivers made plays. There was enough offense that, you were able to put some drives together. And you get out of there with a win. Obviously Florida State certainly was not very interested in winning this football game either. When you look at kind of some of the plays that they didn't make, but hey, this team deserves a little bit of luck to swing their way with how bad some of the games previous have been. So we'll certainly take this result. I felt like Clemson would win this football game, but this wasn't quite how I imagined them doing it. But we'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I was certainly concerned heading into this football game for the Clemson Tigers. I ultimately picked them in our preview show. I didn't feel great about the pick, but I rolled the dice with the Tigers one more time, and they rewarded us with a win, Jordan. And again, not a pretty game, not a massively productive game when it comes to the offensive numbers. We'll get into those here in a little bit. But you did just enough to win tonight. And that's what's important. You finally get the monkey off your back. That was the 3-game losing streak at home. You get the monkey off your back that was not winning a Power 4 game in your home stadium and over a calendar year. So for the season of setting records for all the wrong reasons, you set a couple straight tonight. And like you mentioned, Florida State's kind of one of those teams, much like South Carolina, that regardless of the season that you're having, it's always nice to beat those guys. It's always nice to beat them. It's always nice to beat South Carolina. Those are kind of two teams that you really like to beat in any given season. So the Tigers get it done tonight. Shout out to Cade Klubnik for gutting out another game. I think Garrett Riley might want his leg to truly fall off. I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit later as well. But we got 46 people in the live chat right now. So before we dive into this game tonight, first and foremost, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Me and Jordan do an all-in show every Tuesday, 8 p.m. So come check it out right here on the channel, Clemson at the Voice of College Football. We also do these live post-game reactions to each and every game. And we also just got off of a live stream we did a watch along with all of our channel members. So if you want to watch games with us and do watch alongs, those kind of things, if that sounds like something you're interested in, hit that join button right below the video, become a channel member, support the channel on a monthly basis, and get access to that bonus content. And you guys are greatly appreciated. Shout out to all of our channel members for being there. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate you coming to hang out with us and watch the game. But Jordan, let's go ahead and dive into this game. It was kind of I don't know, interesting. Is that the word to describe this game? It was kind of a weird game. Clemson out right out of the gate, go on a very long, I think a 13-plus play drive.
13 plays.
13 plays, 75 yards, something like that. Marches right down the field and scores a touchdown, and then proceeds to go 3 straight 3-and-outs, I believe, after that. What was your kind of take on Clemson's offense in the first half? What did you see? What was their success predicated on, and where was some of their kind of misses in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of the success Clemson had, I felt like, they didn't have a ton of success, doing anything between the tackles. I kind of had a feeling that would be the case. That Florida State does have some good defensive tackles. And I didn't expect them to really be that successful. I think they broke a couple of runs. Adam Randall and Gideon Davidson, we got to see a good mix of both of them in the run game. But I thought what Clemson did best was getting the ball out to the perimeter. I think that was clear. Whether it was with Antonio Williams or getting Cade moving in the pocket at least a little bit. They're just some things to kind of make Florida State. One thing I did talk about in the pregame, I don't think their linebackers are very good, and I think Clemson saw that. And, they attacked them. I felt like they could have done more, quite honestly, in terms of that respect. You didn't really use Adam Randall out of the backfield, get him any favorable matchups. That was kind of disappointing. I was hoping that would have been something they worked on during the week, especially, considering the fact that Florida State has shown some weaknesses in that facet. But, I think overall, I think it was it was a decently called game, and offensively, you executed well enough. So I think it was a competent game plan. I thought they moved the football, but I felt like there was opportunities for more if they had done things a little bit differently. But you go into the half. That was one thing that I think this team did well today, especially in that first half. It was complementary football. Getting off the field, and getting that big stop on fourth down. I felt like that was kind of the biggest swing in momentum, and kind of determined the rest of this game in terms of how it would play out. With the fourth down stop, and then you hit the big play to Antonio Williams to go up. To go up 3 scores. I felt like that was kind of a game changer there. I'm sorry that the play to Antonio Williams put you up 15-0, so 2 scores, and then you kicked the field goal. So not 3 scores yet, but I feel like that was when you got some separation in the game. The complexion of the game started to look a little bit different. I think I was mostly pleased with the offensive game plan in that first half. I think we'll talk about the second half, but you certainly did enough to build a cushion that you were able to ride for the rest of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the offense did fairly well in that first half. They bogged down, like I said, they went 3 straight 3-and-outs there, and it felt like the game moved very quickly. There wasn't a lot of stoppages in this game. A lot of completions, a lot of running of the clock. So the game kind of had a faster pace to it. It seemed like for me just watching it with the clock. But, overall, the offense got enough done, right? They picked their spots. They went on a few drives in that first half. That big catch by Antonio Williams in in the end zone. Cade kind of stepped aside and avoided some pressure there, and still found Antonio Williams in the center of the end zone there. Great job by Cade, just avoiding that pressure and getting the ball off, and then great catch by Antonio Williams there as well. So that was very good there. And then drive back down, get a field goal, and make it 18-0. It seemed like what the score was going to be heading into halftime. Now let's go ahead and flip to the other side of the ball, because ultimately it did not end up being 18-0 entering halftime, because the defense subsequently, we kicked the ball off to Florida State after the field goal, and they marched right down the field and put it in the end zone, and it's 7-18 headed into halftime. Jordan, your thoughts on the defense in the first half? They put up a goose egg for the most part until that last drive, but they had some help from some Florida State wide receivers within that first half as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, largely, I think Clemson's defense played better than they did last week.
Absolutely.
I in that first half, but they certainly deserve to look worse statistically than they ultimately did. They were the beneficiary of some pretty bad Florida State drops. They schemed up. Fourth down, was that also a fourth down on that drop, that play action that they dropped to? I need to go back and watch that play, but they dropped a couple of
they dropped. Yeah, that was the fourth down play that they dropped. Yeah. Wide open guy on fourth down, and he just dropped it.
Just a bust. I have to go back and watch watch and see like what exactly happened there, but I will say it wasn't as like the coverage busts weren't as egregious as they were against Duke last week.
Or as often. Yeah.
Like Florida State offensively, they did things to manipulate you and create those coverage busts. I mean, you still got to play your assignment, but it wasn't nearly as bad as guy flat out just not knowing the call, and your corner going rogue on cover two, and your safety is supposed to be over the top with help, like those type of things, or you're letting the tight end leak out in a game on the line situation that Duke is going down to drive to tie the game, and you give up the tight end wide open down the seam. Nobody has eyes on him. Like we didn't see those level of miscues today. Right. So minor improvements there. And I thought they did a good job in the run game. Florida State, statistically, they averaged over 240 rushing yards a game heading into this football game. And you held them to 110 on 26 carries, just a little over 4 yards per carry. Against a team that runs the ball as well as Florida State, you'll take that every day. And it helped going up, getting off to a fast start, because it didn't allow them to get to their run game as much as they probably wanted to. So kudos to the defense there, and I think they largely did a good job containing Thomas Castellanos. He had a couple of scrambles on the day, but they did a good job of kind of keeping him in the pocket for the most part and not letting him burn them too bad with his legs. And you also got it helped on Florida State's first drive. You get that turnover. I don't know, was that their first drive or was that their second? I can't remember. They go down the field and they have a fumble. They get in the red zone and they have the fumble on the exchange. But again, listen, the way that Clemson season has gone, they kind of deserve to be on the right end of some of those breaks too. Largely better performance from the defense. Brent Venables was in the building tonight, so I wonder if he had some juju going on. And Clemson did light up the Clemson paw before the game like they were doing a seance. So maybe we summoned we summoned some bad spirits, some devil magic. I don't know.
We did a cleansing. We were burning our sage and doing all the craziness, trying to rid Death Valley of the
evil that has possessed it. Yeah,
the evil that has plagued us for over a year there now.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I mean, I think overall the defense, was obviously better than last week. I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, it's not hard to play better than you played last week because you played about as bad as possible, last week. But they did play better. They picked their spots. They got off the field on third down today. They made their plays. 6 sacks, 9 tackles for loss today. They definitely had an improvement. The big thing is the run game. You mentioned Florida State averaging 240 plus yards a game this season on the ground, and you hold them to just over 100 yards rushing tonight. And yes, some of Florida State's rushing numbers are slightly inflated because they've had some big games rushing the football, but the fact still remains. A team that's averaging over 240 yards rushing, you hold to 110 yards rushing. That's a big win, especially for this defense that doesn't do a great job, especially on the perimeter. And they did better tonight. I mentioned the 6 sacks. One of the things they did well was contain Castellanos. Didn't allow him to do a lot of his improv, his creation, his kind of when the play breaks down, doing some of the things that he's very comfortable and very good at doing. They did not allow him to do tonight, and that's a credit to the defense. That's a credit to Tom Allen for the game that he called. It wasn't perfect. They got some huge breaks in that first half. Like, let's be completely honest. There was quite a few drops there that would have went for big yardage and would have converted, and it sustained several drives during that first half. You mentioned the 4th down one. There were a couple other ones, but ultimately the defense did enough. They bowed up when they needed to, and they got the job done. And, as much flack, deservedly so, that we've given this team this season and this coaching staff, it's nice to just see them go out there and finally get a win, especially at home, especially in Death Valley, for the seniors to get a Power 4 win finally. Although it wasn't a beautiful game and it wasn't, your best effort by any means or the best that you've looked, but it was enough to get the job done. And at this point, we'll take any win we can get because we're inching ever so close to being 500 again, Jordan. We just need another win. We'll see.
Before we lose one, we need another one.
Get there.
Yeah.
Can we finish the season dead even on 500? We'll see. Maybe that's the goal.
We shall see. But that first half, disappointing to give up that touchdown drive at the end of the half.
The thing about that touchdown, like, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you did as well. Like, when Florida State got the ball back, they hit a couple plays, and I was like, here we go. I was like, they're going to go ahead and give up a touchdown right before halftime, and then Florida State's going to get the ball coming right out of half, and they're going to have all the momentum. And that's exactly what happened. Ultimately, it didn't, affect us in a way like we lost the game or anything like that. But it's disappointing when you got a team on the ropes like that. It's 18-0. All you got to do is make a stand at the end of the half, and you go in up 18. You feel a whole lot better. But of course, that defense is going to give up a big drive, and probably Florida State's biggest drive of the night was that drive to close out the first half and get that touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was. Yeah, but like you said, like you just kind of knew because that's what this defense has done throughout the season. They have not been very clutch when you needed them for most of the year in terms of getting opportune stops. This defense has gotten stops, but when you would really like one in this moment, it never felt like they were going to be able to get it. But didn't kill you. You give up a touchdown, you give up that touchdown, Florida State, and we can kind of just take that to transition to the second half. Florida State with the football to start the second half, and they go down the field. But I was that the drive where they had offensive pass interference? I know they missed the field. They missed the field goal. Hold on, I can
Missed the
just pull
field
up. I have
goal.
the
Yeah.
drive chart. Yeah, okay. So that was the sack, the Avion Terrell sack
Yes.
that put them in a tougher field goal range. What got them in that 3rd and 8? Yeah. Corey Gibson made a big pass breakup on that game. Speaking of which, I think he had a really good game today. Corey Gibson, nice to see him, kind of step into a bigger role and play after. And he's gotten more reps throughout the season. And this was certainly his best game today, just in coverage. So I mean, he's a guy that in the future he's going to be one of your guys. I think. I mean, coming out of high school, I was extremely high on him, and obviously he kind of started his career behind the 8 ball because he was coming off a torn ACL, but thought he looked good today. So yeah, but getting that stop on that first Florida State drive at the beginning of the second half, missing that, obviously forcing them to a field goal, and they kick it wide right. That's the kind of thing you need. I mean, so you need it in that moment, and I think that was the moment. I think that I think Clemson felt like they had control of the game, and they could go ahead and close this one out. And again, it wasn't pretty, but they kept chipping away, and they kind of rode it. They kind of rode to the finish line in a way. They again wasn't anything pretty, anything special, but you get 2 field goals in that second half, and that was enough. That was enough at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of all you ended up needing, right? And you come out, you put some drives together, you get the field goals, you're continuing to add points to the lead. You win the third quarter 3-0, right? Thanks to the missed field goal by Florida State. You tack on another field goal in the fourth quarter, and ultimately it's enough to win the game. Your defense came up big with that interception at the end because Clemson refuses to run out the clock. They cannot close out a game to save their lives on offense when they have an opportunity. That's one of the frustrating things about this team. One of the many frustrating things, but you know, and we could talk about the second half, and this kind of leads me into it because why is Cade Klubnik running the ball on that play? Like we're trying to close out a game, right? There's like 3+ minutes left in the game. We're trying to close it out. We're trying to get a first down. You run your running back twice, and then you run your quarterback whose leg is falling off, and he can barely move. I'm just confused by stuff like that. I'm confused by a lot of the runs, particularly in the second half for Cade Klubnik when you knew he had already re-aggravated that ankle yet again on one of those drives in the second half, and you're continuing to run him. I don't understand it. I don't. You got 2 really good running backs that you've started rotating in Adam Randall and Gideon Davison. Why aren't one of those guys getting a carry? Or to your point, when we were watching it live, why is Hammerhead not in there? That dude wants to run through a brick wall like, every day. One of the probably the most physical back that you have on the roster. And you don't give him a crack at it? I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why you run your quarterback there. Cade Klubnik took a lot of brutal hits tonight. And shout out to him. I mean, he's a warrior. He's gutting it out there. I'm sure he's going to feel like crap when he wakes up in the morning. He's going to be in treatment all week trying to get that ankle right again so he can play on a short week against Louisville. But just some of that stuff is kind of baffling to me. Not that it was a terribly called game or anything like that. It's just certain decisions like that. It just makes you wonder, like, what is going through Garrett Riley's mind when he calls a play like that. But he's going to continue to do it. So,
yeah, I mean, It was kind of baffling, some of those decisions, and you're like, I mean, listen, I John, shout out to John Sarian in the chat. But while we were watching the game live, I mean, he asked, like, did we see any 21 personnel today? And I was like, I don't think we have. I mean,
Nope.
listen, when you're trying to close out a game, and this is something that just consistently for Clemson, it's always having two backs on the field is always more often than not led to good results when they, running the football. Um, I I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me why you haven't at any point, gone back to that or tried anything. Um, but it's kind of frustrating when you have two backs that are capable. Honestly, three that are capable. In a in a close game, and well, not a close game, but when you're in a situation where you're trying to run out the clock. And you're not you choose to run your hobbled quarterback, and it doesn't
Yeah.
really make sense. It's like you're calling the game as if everything is on paper, and it's like none of the players aren't dealing with any type of injury or anything like that. It's just, I'm going to call the game like call the play like I see it. The defense is lined up the way I want, so I'm gonna run this play and not really thinking about anything else. Um, I don't know. It was that was confusing. But again, I don't think it was a terribly called game. I thought, and I think Cade did a good job of managing managing the game. The receivers for the most part made plays. Antonio Williams obviously made probably the biggest play offensively. But you saw other guys involved. You saw T.J. Moore involved in some screens. Cole Turner caught a nice, even had a catch. Tristan Smith got some good. He made a couple of nice catches on the day. Olsen, Pat Henry. So I mean, it was a good mix of things. Cade was efficient. He was accurate. I didn't have too many complaints. He didn't put the ball in harm's way. So. In a game like this, where neither team is scoring a whole bunch, like the quarterback that doesn't make the mistakes is probably the one that's going to win the football game, and that was Cade today.
Yeah, that was Cade tonight. And Big Mick makes a good point. Says those are read options. I understand that they're read options.
Some of them, not all of
them. I understand that. Yeah, some of those are read options, and I get that. But in that situation, I just don't like it. It's third and short. And you're trying to get a first down. I just think relying on the traditional run game in that situation is going to yield better results far more often than trying to do a read option with your hobbled quarterback. Just my opinion. But we had several guys step up tonight. Several guys played well. And it was a win, right? It's a win in the Valley. Something that we haven't seen too often this season, and the team improves to 4-5 on the season, and you get another opportunity next week to try to even that up at 5-5 on the season. So we'll see what the Clemson Tigers can do going forward. But nice way to close out the fourth quarter with a field goal, and then ultimately, after those frustrations that we had with them trying to run out the clock, the defense makes a big stand, gets a turnover, and kind of seals the game. So shout out to them. Shout out to that secondary for shutting the game out like that after an abysmal performance last week. It's nice to see them guys step up and make a lot more plays than they did last week. So it's clear that this team, the one good thing you can say, it's clear that this team hasn't checked out, right? They're still fighting to win. They're still playing, for each other or for their coaches or whatever reason they're playing for the pride. But it's clear this team hasn't checked out. They played hard. They fought to the end, and they did enough to beat Florida State tonight, which is a good thing. This team is not magically better. They're not, they haven't righted most of the wrongs that have been going on for majority of the season. but they fought hard and they won the game, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they looked engaged today. I mean, it was
Yeah,
there looked like there was responsiveness on the sidelines. There wasn't as much, guys like not taking to the coaching and just kind of, if they made a mistake or there was a lot more. They were allowed to be coached. They allowed themselves to be coached, type of thing. I didn't see too many guys moping or getting upset after a bad play or whatever. I mean, all the things you hope to see, and normally we wouldn't even comment on things like that about a Dabo Swinney team because you just
right.
expect them to be
Yeah,
be fully engaged. But it was clear, with senior day, with senior day, and obviously you're playing a rival. It's clear they treated it like one. It wasn't the best played game by any means. Neither team played particularly well, but I think you played with effort. You saw guys, flying to the football. Um, it was a lot cleaner of cleaner is not the right word. A lot more spirited of an effort than we've seen at times this season, especially on defense. I mean,
yeah,
I saw, the linebackers were flying to the ball. It was, Kobe McLeod is out here making outstretched, stretching his arm to make, pass breakups. That was kind of unfortunate that it got tipped right to the receiver. But he's
yeah.
quietly
It was a good. It was
quietly
a
been,
good play, though. I mean, that was a
yeah,
good play.
yeah. Kobe McLeod has quietly been pretty good the last few weeks, and he got himself a sack today. Um, so I'm pleased. I thought this was one of the better games the linebackers played, and just guys being more, sideline to sideline, just playing better. I mean, Wade Woodaz had a couple of nice plays in space, nice tackles in space. That was good to see. Sammy
Khalil
Brown
Barnes.
was
Khalil
Sammy Brown.
Barnes had a nice
Khalil
one
Barnes, yeah,
out on the perimeter,
he had
and
a
Sammy
play
Brown
out on.
came and cleaned it up. That was a third down play where they were really close to making a first down. That one comes to mind for me, and that was just an effort play, right? It was a really good open field tackle by Khalil Barnes.
Mhm.
Sammy Brown comes and cleans it up, makes sure that he doesn't get past the yard marker, and ultimately ends up in a punt. So definitely flying around a lot more effort, a lot more, you know, playing like you got some pride about you.
Yeah, and on the, I think defensively, especially in the second half when Florida State was in desperation mode, I think the defense did a really good job with a lot of the misdirection stuff they were doing. They didn't break it too many of those for big gains. I was worried about Mekhi Danzy and Jalen Lucas like getting really active in those type of plays, and they didn't for the most part. And on those plays, I thought you just did a good job of holding the perimeter and not letting them get outside of you. Guys were there in their run fits. I thought the safeties, obviously, I think they played a better game in that department. Guys just filling their lanes better. Um, it was they played like a defense, like a competent defense, especially in that second half. First half they were fortunate on some things, but second half I think a lot of it was just they just flat out executed better than we've seen them execute from a lot of the season. And you got pressure, obviously with so anytime you get 6 sacks, obviously you got pressure, but it was just a good day for the front seven, and I thought on the back end you had some good standouts. I already mentioned Corian Gibson. I mean, I think this was the best game he's played so far. Just multiple nice plays in coverage. Didn't see him get out of allow too many catches. I don't know what his stat line ultimately looked like, but had a couple of pass breakups. And that was good to see because he is the future so far. At corner. I think probably the front. You got Terrell and Hampton. Terrell, gone after this year. Hampton will still, will probably still be here next year. And then, somebody's got to step up. Be that second corner. I mean, I think if you don't go get somebody from out of the portal, I think Corian Gibson is the guy with the most upside, and I thought he showed it today.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some guys that flashed today. There's some guys that played better than they have at points in time. Excuse me, this season. But when you look at this game, you kind of watch this game, and it was kind of a weird game at times, and excuse me, different momentum swings and stuff like that. But you turn it to the stat sheet, and it's kind of even more baffling because Clemson didn't put up a ton of yards tonight. Put up 319 total yards on offense, 221 through the air, 98 on the ground. So not a banner day on the ground, not a banner day through the air. But again, enough to get it done. 2 of 2 on fourth down, which is really good, right? When you really needed it, they converted. And then ultimately that last drive for Florida State, we were talking about it on the live, that put them over Clemson as far as yardage for the day. So they finished with 360 total yards to our 319. But we did win time of possession, and obviously the turnover battle was huge today. Clemson's defense has not been great as of late, forcing turnovers, and that big one in the red zone with the mesh between the running back and Tommy Castellanos was a huge play, and was kind of a swing of momentum there because they were, at a minimum they were going to get 3 points out of that drive, and instead it's a turnover, and you're going the other way. So really good to see the defense get a couple turnovers tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was certainly something to build on for sure. So it was good to see some guys, just get more opportunities, and I again, like we said, this roster isn't devoid of talent. There's certainly some pieces on both sides of the ball that I think could eventually develop into really good football players, but it's going to be, you're going to have to supplement them. I mean, next year, you're going to be losing a lot of players still. So, you can't rely on the high school talent you brought in to carry you and just kind of figure it all out, and all of them hit their potential next year. So, get them these reps while you can. Create the best possible environment for a potential transfer to come in at whatever position you're talking about, and create that competitive atmosphere. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. Like you can talk about it, but you have to actually be about it. If guys don't think that they can't be replaced, if guys don't think they can be replaced, then that's how guys get complacent. So,
Yep.
I'm glad to see, like I said, I'm glad to see them kind of get into the rotation and play some of these guys, but because you're certainly going to need some of them next year. But I don't want this to be a substitute of, we got all these guys reps, this year, so we're good to just run it back with these players next year. No, I mean,
absolutely not.
I can't get on board with that. Not with what we've seen. I'm not trusting that ever again. So,
no.
Gotta be what the rest of college football is from that aspect. You got to be looking to strengthen your room, or strengthen your roster.
Yeah, there's several position groups that Clemson needs to go look at in the portal this year.
Yeah.
There's several. Defensive end, safety, possibly running back, depending on what happens after the season via the transfer portal, quarterback, offensive line. You might need some bridge guys there to, step in while you still bring along some of these young guys, some of these ultra talented guys that you've brought in. So there's definitely some work to be done. But right now we're still trying to win games. We're still trying to just not have a losing record this season. That is the hope, which is crazy to say. The second game in November, that's where we are. But here we are. Clemson got it done tonight, 24, Florida State 10. And, I'm glad they won the game. That's all I can really say. I'm glad for any win for Clemson right now. A more broader topic that doesn't have to do with the game tonight, Jordan, or really with what Clemson has going on this season, because it really doesn't matter for Clemson. But the ACC fell apart.
Dude, yeah.
Like, what happened, man? What happened? We it was so promising at certain points in time for this season. I mean, there was talk of the ACC getting 2 teams in, maybe getting 3 teams in at certain points in time this season. There was legitimate talk of that, and now you roll the clock to today. You got Virginia losing to Wake Forest. You got Louisville losing in a walk-off overtime touchdown to California. Man, Duke losing to UConn. They call that Clemson disease. Every team that plays Clemson and goes and loses a game right after. It's crazy. Shout out to the Fighting Bill Belichick's. They won today.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how, but they managed to get another win in their column over there. So
yeah, they're certainly not the worst team in the Power Four. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It was trending that way.
Tough day for the ACC. They fell apart today. Again, not that it matters for Clemson because they ain't got no hope of doing anything this year, but it's kind of crazy.
Absolutely.
It does matter a little bit for next week, though, because we are playing Louisville, and they're coming off a loss. And it's a short week for us playing on Friday night in Louisville. So we'll see.
We shall see. All right. Any other standouts? Shout out to Jack Smith.
What a great punt, dude.
He had a couple iffy ones to start, and then he had made some big ones that Florida State had a good field position.
Yeah, that one he landed on like the 1 yard line. I mean, you couldn't have went and placed it any better.
Yeah.
And then the long snapper is the one down in it, which is hilarious. Shout out to him. We probably, I don't know if we've done this yet, Jordan, but we probably collectively as a fan base owe him an apology.
Yeah.
at this point, because that was one of the few things that a lot of us were questioning coming into the season. We're like, man, we should have went to the portal and got a punter. It's going to be terrible. But we feel good about our offense, so maybe we won't need a punter this year. Man, were we wrong. Yeah. Both about the offense and about Jack Smith as a punter, because he's been pretty great this year.
Yeah.
He's been pretty great. He's gotten the job done. And been one of the few bright spots on this team this year. So that's kind of crazy to say. Never would have thought I would have said that, especially with our preseason thoughts. But, shout out Jack Smith.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming through.
Yeah, Nolan Hooser, he hit both of his field goals today. Good on him. Special teams in general was just good. I mean, obviously, you convert on the iffy 2-point conversion on the first touchdown on the fake. I don't think he got there, but I'm not questioning it.
He did not get there. I'll be honest. If there's any FSU fans out there watching, I'll admit it. He didn't get there.
Okay.
He
didn't affect the outcome of the game.
It wasn't called, a good conversion on the field, 2-point conversion. They wouldn't have. Yeah, they just basically just went with what was called on the field because I guess it was too close to tell. But personally, I don't think he got there. I think it was short. I think he was short. But hey, we'll take it. We needed a little bit of good fortune in our corner tonight to get the job done. So we will take it.
Absolutely, we shall. And obviously, it didn't really affect the outcome of the game. So
Yeah, I mean, it didn't ultimately end up meaning anything, honestly. But you could tell they were trying to just kind of create a spark there, be ultra aggressive and just send a message, I guess, to the team that, hey, we're going to go win this game tonight. So I guess that worked out. But I don't got anything else about the game, Jordan. We've kind of hit our standouts, our initial thoughts on the game. I think it's time to turn it over to the comment section and get to a few comments and get out of here. We're not going to be able to get to every comment, guys. Obviously, got a limited amount of time. It's already 11:30 at night, and we're fading. We're fading quickly over here. So I want to be sure that your comment is read and responded to during this live episode. Go ahead and hit that super chat. Support the show in that way. And in the meantime, we will go ahead and highlight a few comments, and then we'll get out of here, Jordan.
Absolutely. Let's hear from one of our channel members to start us off.
Shout out to all the channel members out there. Appreciate you guys.
Yes. Oh, and shout out to our newest channel member, Sean. I don't know if you're still in here, man, but thank you so much for supporting the show. He was with us in the live watch along, the members only stream. He's actually a Florida State fan, so y'all welcome him. Our first non-Clemson fan as a channel member. So that's really awesome, and he's a really, really nice guy. So y'all welcome him with open arms. Thank you so much for supporting the show and the channel. We greatly appreciate it. Let's see what y'all are talking about. I'll try to get a little bit older one, and then I think I scrolled too far. I have one I liked. David says, I think Tom Allen is going to rebuild his defense. Yeah, I mean, like if you allow him to, I definitely think he'll look to try and get some guys in there that not only fit his scheme, but are going to play with the play at the level needed.
I mean, I think he has to, honestly, for the way that he wants to play and the way that he wants to call things. And I think he's made this clear in some of his interviews and some of the ways that he's answered questions from the media. He's been pretty candid and open that there's not enough length and there's not enough speed.
Yep.
So what's the only way
to fix that can cover?
The only way to fix that in a short amount of time is to go to the portal.
Yeah.
And bring in guys that have the length and the speed that you want in order to execute your defense the way that you want it executed. Fact of the matter.
I mean, the way Tom Allen play. I mean, you got to have guys that can, especially on the back end. You got to have guys that can cover, and you haven't been able to do it this year. But then you can't when you run zone, you can't do it either. So it's like,
last I checked, those were the only two options.
Yeah,
it's either man or zone.
Yep. And you have your match concepts and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, that's you still gotta play man coverage. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's still like. So I don't know what I don't know what you do as a coordinator when you got guys on the back that you flat out can't trust to cover a guy one-on-one. Yeah, I mean, AB can do that, but he's not the most ideally built for your number one corner. Not he's not even 6 feet. He's not particularly long. He plays bigger than his size, and that's great. But ideally, you want guys that look more like his brother and can also run.
Yeah.
So it just you don't have any of those guys. Ashton Hampton, but Ashton Hampton physically is built that way, but I don't know. He doesn't have quite the speed you'd like, which is why he's kind of a tweener in terms of his position and why he was kind of coming out of high school. We were wondering what he was going to play. I don't think he's unathletic. I think he's a good athlete, but just like long speed, I'm not sure it's quite there. So you're like, and those are your two best guys. So it kind of tells you everything you need to know, and then there's a pretty steep drop off to the other guys in the room right now. But I did show praise to Corian Gibson. Thought he played well again.
Yeah.
And,
shout out to Ashton Hampton today too.
Ashton Hampton had a good
day.
He
had a better day today than last week, of course.
John says, I bet defense gets at least 6 from the portal.
It wouldn't be a bad thing.
That wouldn't be a bad thing, no.
It would not be a bad thing at all.
Like
I say, you probably definitely need defensive end. You probably definitely need safety. And corner could be another one that you need as well.
You've got numbers at linebacker, but I don't.
You got numbers, but I don't know if they can play.
Yeah. So,
Colby McLeod is, he started looking pretty good. So we'll see if he can continue to develop. You got Sammy Brown there. Obviously, he's going to be your best linebacker on the roster. We'll see if some of those other guys can step up.
We shall see. Guys, talking about the offensive line. Braden Jacobs. Oh, wait, so it says Braden Jacobs could end up the first Clemson offensive lineman taken first round in like 50 years. Yeah. If you develop him,
he's got the potential.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the potential for sure.
I have not seen a freshman offensive lineman at Clemson like this impressive already in a long time. Mitch Hyatt coming in, he was too good not to play, but he didn't even end up getting drafted. So but he couldn't really put on the size needed to be attractive to the NFL. That's not going to be a problem with Braden. That's an NFL body right there. Get it from his, you can tell, who his dad is, so you can tell where he gets it from, but and somehow he's even bigger. So that tells you everything you need to know. But
yeah, look, the sheer size of that dude, if he's developed properly, he could be the best offensive lineman that's ever come through Clemson.
He has that potential.
It always cracks me up, man, watching him on TV. Because especially when Clemson huddles up every now and then, he makes everybody else look small.
Yeah,
which is crazy because they're not small.
No,
but standing next to Braden Jacobs, they're all small.
Yeah. Let's see. David says, "Great game, good win. Thanks, guys. Enjoyed the watch along and after game show. Absolutely, David.
Thank you for supporting the channel, David.
Absolutely." John says, "I see one book open. Clemson -5 versus Louisville."
They giving Louisville 5 points?
They're giving Louisville 5 points at home.
Oh, Lord.
Mm.
Yeah,
Did
you know what they say
Did a
about
win over
home
Florida
dogs?
State swing the Vegas lines that much? Good Lord.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. You know what they say about the home dogs on Friday? It's not a good place to be.
No,
Not a good place.
not a good place at all. Yeah, Ricardo Jones was solid. David says, yeah, we need some Judah Davis who can come in and play. Hey, shout out to my guy Judah. That's a nice pull right there.
That is.
Absolutely.
Judah and JD.
Yeah, I know Judah tunes in sometimes. I need him to comment one day. I need to get him on the show.
Yeah,
That's what I need to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need.
Yeah. Jay says, "Are we saying some guys are getting nudged out this year?"
I'm saying that's a possibility.
Yeah. Very much a possibility. John makes a good point. Dabo does have 105 scholarships if he wants to use them now. And that's true. He doesn't. We're not using all of our available scholarships. So theoretically, you have room to take guys without pushing people out if you really don't want to do that. So we'll see what he does with that. All right, let's do. We'll end this one with Wet Sox and call it a night. Can anyone explain why Khalil Barnes didn't have that pick at the goal line? Yeah, that was the right call. So when I know like people think like, well, in a toe tap situation, like he would have been called. That would have been called in. When your foot is coming down and it's like it's a heel toe situation or toe heel. Both of them have to land in bounds for it to be considered complete. It's a strange rule. It's a strange distinction because a toe tap in this, like if you're catching the ball on the sideline in like a toe tap type situation, you don't need to get your heel in. As long as your toe is in and nothing else touches, then it's you're in bounds. It's a catch. But when it's a heel toe situation, they define it. You both have to be in bounds for it to be considered a catch. So even if
his heel landed on the white line, that's why they call it out of bounds.
Yeah,
it was about as close as it could get, honestly.
Yeah. So even though his toe hit first, you have to. I guess the logic is that's that action of a step.
Yeah.
Or getting a step in bounds is requires that you have your foot in bounds.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only way he could have made it a catch would have been if he would have never brought his heel down.
Yeah.
Like if he would have just, had his toe and then pushed himself out of bounds from there and his heel never touched the ground, they would have counted that as an interception.
Yeah.
But because his toe touched and then his heel came down, shortly thereafter, and it touched the white line, it's out of bounds.
Yeah. It's a little bit. It's a strange rule, but
it's kind of dumb. But
that was the right call.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, there were a couple of weird plays, and on that. Well,
that catch
wasn't a catch by Deuce Robinson. He had the ball pinned on his back thigh.
Yeah.
They didn't even look at that, did they? I was kind of surprised.
They didn't look at it. No, they didn't.
I didn't know about that one. I mean that's a tough one. Like
Mike Norvell called timeout on that too, and he did. They still didn't look at it. They were like,
I guess he didn't survive.
I'm sure that, the ACC in Charlotte. I'm sure they saw it and they were like, they must have been like, nope, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's some part, it was weird because one time you look at it and it would look kind of convincing that he was like
Yeah, I mean,
he had that pin to his body for a long
as he
time.
was going to the ground, like it looked like he had it pinned pretty securely. But as he started to roll and that ball came in contact, like it did move. So
Yeah, just
I
slightly.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, it did. Yeah, it did move. So I mean, I don't know. That one was tough.
yeah, I mean that's always tough. Like when do you count possession on a
Yeah,
play like that, right? Like I don't know.
that's one of those like that's one of those calls where it's a judgment call. I don't get mad at refs for one interpretation or the other. I was just kind of surprised they didn't even really look at it. Like even if they had went with stuck with the call on the field, I was surprised they didn't look at it. But yeah, that was a weird one. And then they went and it didn't end up really affecting the game because they scored anyway. But like the illegal touching that Dabo was begging for. I don't know why he was begging for. I mean, replay clearly showed Khalil Barnes forced him out, and
Yeah, he
for
pushed him out of
whatever
bounds.
reason, Khalil Barnes just gave up on the play. I don't know if he thought that pushing the guy out of bounds would make him ineligible, and then he didn't have to cover him, or what. But
I don't know.
you got to have a. I mean, you got to finish the play, man. Like, I mean, just because you force the guy, you got to know the
Yeah,
rules.
and here's the thing: is like regardless if you think he's an ineligible receiver now, so what? Like finish the play.
Right. Don't leave it up to the ref determining whether or not it was a force out or not. Because
Right.
if he had gone out of bounds on his own volition and caught the ball, then yeah, that's illegal
Yeah, it's
touching. But
illegal touching.
you clearly made contact with him during his route and pushed him out of bounds. Like I don't I don't know that. Dabo's probably working the ref there in terms of complaining, trying to see if he could get it. But like, yeah, that one was like, if I'm more upset, I'm like with Khalil Barnes. I'm like, why'd you stop the play?
Why'd
I
you give
mean,
up on the play? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you gotta know the rules, man. I mean, even if like you said, even if he was deemed ineligible, you don't leave that up to chance. You go
Yeah,
and
they'll break
finish
up
the
the
play.
pass.
Yeah, and it's not like he even went anywhere to find more work somewhere else. He just kind of stood there in the back of the end zone and let the guy run free after he went out of bounds. He didn't like go try to cover another receiver. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought he played a good game. That was just a strange play when you had an opportunity to get off the field. And that was tough because the pick was unfortunate. That was unfortunate. Then you get fortunate on the play, the non-touchdown before that, and you just go and give one up anyway. So, whatever. All right. I said Wet Sox was going to be the last one, but this one's interesting. Whoa, Dabo says Cade wasn't living because of his sprain. He's had a quad injury he's been nursing.
First I've heard of that.
Yeah. And Axel says,
oh.
yeah, they said he has a quad contusion.
I'm not saying he doesn't have a quad injury, but his ankle's definitely still bothering him.
Yeah.
Crazy
And
if you think it's not.
well, and that makes the decision to run him even more damning because it's like you knew
it's
that.
not only his ankle on his right leg, but his quad's messed up too, and we're still running him. Y'all just don't make no sense.
Yeah, I mean that honestly makes it even worse. Like it's one thing. It's like okay, he was injured a couple weeks ago, and he's nursed it, and he's looked a little bit better this week. Maybe maybe we can run him a little bit more. But to know that he's dealing with another injury that's, I mean that boggles my mind.
That's crazy.
That
He's basically got a cast on his ankle, so please don't. I don't know. He wasn't limping because of his ankle. I don't buy that at all. Because
I mean, either way, if he had a quad injury, he'd be limping too. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
either way.
Either
whatever.
way, it just you knew he was hobbled.
Like
And,
I said, like I said earlier in the show, his legs falling off.
yeah.
I mean, essentially, whether it's the quad or the ankle, whatever's hurting most in the particular play.
Absolutely. Well, I don't have anything else on this game. Just again, super happy that Clemson, got this win. It's good to see they're at least capable of beating a Power Four team. That's
Yeah,
we were kind of at least a somewhat competent Power Four team. Not a Boston College or UNC level team. So that was good. That was good to see. And you won by 2 scores. So hey, that's great. Tough challenge next week. You're going to be facing sort of a wounded animal in Louisville after tonight. So I don't love that spot, with Jeff Brom and everything, but you got to go out there and play the football, play the game. And, this is an opportunity as a team to get another win, start building some confidence and, maybe salvaging this season from being a complete and total disaster. I mean, well, nothing, no amount of wins at this point could save the season from being a disaster.
no,
Considering the preseason expectations, but you could save this this season from being a historically bad season.
right.
So let's hope for that, and we'll certainly talk more about it on Tuesday when we break down this Louisville team and all they have to offer. But it's good for Clemson to get this win, regardless. Like I said, it's always important. We both said it's always important to beat Florida State. So good to get a rivalry win, and hopefully you make it another in a few weeks. So, but that's all for me. TPC, you got any parting shots?
No, man. Good win for the Tigers. Finally got it done. So we'll take it. We'll move on to next week. It's gonna be a short week. You got a wounded Louisville team coming in off of a tough loss to Cal in overtime. We'll break that down. So you guys come back Tuesday, 8 p.m. right here on Clemson at the Voice of College Football. Come check out the All In Show where we will break down and preview the upcoming Louisville game. Don't forget, if you want to get access to the exclusive live streams for the games, consider becoming a channel member. Hit that join button right under this video. Select whatever tier you want and become a monthly supporter of Clemson at the Voice of College Football. Be greatly appreciated. We have merch. Check out our merch site. Links in the description of this video. Check out the Voice of College Football website. Again, links in the description of this video. Appreciate each and every one of you for coming to hang out with us tonight, checking out the postgame live. We will see you on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Y'all have a great night and go Tigers.
Later, y'all.